So, Wumble update. Hey, this is gonna be the Wumble Wednesday for this week, but I wanted to do things slightly differently. Normally, I make these sort of 20 minutes long, and that's a pain to edit, but I think it's also a pain to watch sometimes. So we're gonna aim for something smaller and something more just shorthand. So we're just gonna play the actual game, right? So when it came to what happened last week, or at least I was working on a lot of stuff to actually get the core loop generally running, as well as getting everything connected online, and finally just cleaning up a lot of work, because I was still using text macros during that time. But just, as you see here, using text boxes is a lot cleaner overall, which is what I'm using now. And I'm using a lot of text box elements, or at least other components that modify elements within the text box system. So for instance, what you're seeing here is a specific text box filler component I made, which utilizes the end portion of the text box macro and sort of edits that end point every frame. But sorry, to get back on point, last week we tackled getting the core loop functioning at some sort of capacity, as well as getting everything connected online and actually being sort of able to see all that progress, as well as, again, cleanup of work. So when it came to the sort of goals for this week, what I said last week was having a functional, complete English parser, perks, which would be your sort of boosts that you would get over the course of a run, as well as a definition refactor. I have notes about all of those goals, but for now, let's actually tackle, again, what I did this week. This is one of those things, where I made a deck select screen, which it was always there, but it never really had anything in it. But now it actually has different decks you can choose from. Right now it's just the one, but the fact that these are all different decks that will lead to different, things in your inventory is great. If I were to select this one right here, this is my test deck, which I use to sort of test out any bugs, which I'll get to later. But right now we're just going to use the basic one in the top left, and sort of go from there. And immediately we're also seeing some more stuff that I worked on. I didn't actually make a video on this. This is a brand new one. This is going to load the posts. Sometimes it's a bit slow, because it doesn't work all the time because of how Turbo sometimes connects with files online, but I'll show more of that later. Yeah. So, again, in the week prior, it was just a matter of okay, get stuff functionally up, but here we're seeing a lot more of just, does it work better? This is due to the fact that I was working with a lot of playtesters and sort of getting a fair amount of feedback. There was a large playtesting session with the Turbo team, and I also just, when I was at Comic-Con, we were tossing 2 Comic-Con passes around, and essentially that would mean that out of the group of 8, 2 people would go in Comic-Con, and the other 6 would just wait. Sorry, the 2 out of 6 people. So I was with a group of 6. 2 people would go in, 4 people would wait. So I would just be there and be like, hey friend, do you want to play my game? And it worked. So it was great to also just not only get feedback from people online, but also people in person that I know. And getting just a lot of feedback all around was great. And one of the big things as well was just there wasn't a lot of stuff that was communicated to the player. For instance, I would often have to mention hey, did you try holding down the button? Because even if it was mentioned in the sort of tutorial sort of page that I sort of put in at the start of the game, not everyone actually read that. So getting that information was frankly great. And on the topic of general feedback, a lot of the times I sort of got the, hey, I don't really know what these numbers in the top mean. So what I did in response to that was, originally these were 0, 1, and 0, 0. I changed these to actually use question marks, so it's more a matter of instead of it saying it's 0, 1, the system doesn't know what it actually can turn out to be, and neither will you until you actually give it a shot to try it out. But I also do want to give some basic data on what you're generally going to be scoring. So this is a sort of sum of words, which took some refactoring as well. So yeah. And as we go into posting, we're going to be seeing that the multiplier is actually going to start increasing more now, which is great. This is a thing that wasn't really sort of in too much due to the fact that I had a English parser up and running in the previous week, but it was like one interaction. Whereas here, it's, I want to say 4 or 5 interactions. Not the entire word suite, but more, to say the least. And again, going back to feedback, actually telling the player what they earned from a specific post and giving them the sort of chance to move forward rather than immediately jumping them forward to the next sort of point of interest. So I'm going to continue, and here's where the online stuff is coming back in. Online works. Also, usernames, I'll get to that. But when it came to, again, more feedback, one of the one was like, hey, I want to scroll down. So what I did in turn, this is a recent fix, I made it so that if you were to hold this button down, it would let you essentially scroll down to see all posts. In the future, I'm looking to add a quick background right here, just so that you don't see like this random conglomerate of like, oh, this is meshing in, but hey, toodles. Also, fun fact, you can hit the reload button. So what is happening here on the sort of back end is that there is a entity that has a component that has 2 separate vectors. It has a vector of battle posts and another vector of battle posts that is consistently pulling from the database. And whenever you hit reload, it's sort of tossing in that pulled information into the one that you're currently using, and then sort of refilling the system from there. So what this looks like is that if someone else on like some other device plays a line, you can hit reload and you might actually see that before you enter a new battle. Fun. Also, this right here is 2 things. This is the username of a player, iSlimeI. But also, fun fact, usernames are now randomized, where every time you load in to the game, it will randomize the username with 3 different words from the entire word list, which is where I'll get into words. Words are actually now like able to sort of like be randomized. Wow, the kitchen in fork after I say fork in kitchen. But it's great to have that sort of functionality and that sort of like thing moving forward, as I can sort of start making booster packs in the game. So having that at its core be there is great. And also having players have different usernames rather than having them be hard-coded means you can actually sort of be like, oh, hey, that's my friend, or that's me. Within the next coming week, I would like to give players the ability to sort of manually randomize their username and actually see the outcome of that, but that's later. I'm going through my list of things I've done this week, so I think I'll just continue going from here. Just on this screen, I made a quick entity component system update that really sort of like cuts down the amount of cloning I'm doing because it was really inefficient previously. I can get into that some other time, or like in a reel if people want to see that, but that's fine. There was a conjunction bug. Any sort of words that were a conjunction would sometimes crash the game. And I think it's fixed now from like the sort of test cases I was given that would crash it. They don't crash it anymore, which I'm proud about. Reloading, random username, scores, great. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but there are now particle effects. So that's fun. So that's a quick rundown of the stuff I've done this week. So to go back, to sort of like look back about like what I said last week on what I wanted to tackle this week. I said I wanted to finish my English parser, have a complete refactor of how definitions work in order to include tags for when perks come in. And I also wanted perks. I only tackled one of those goals, and I didn't even finish it. With that being said, I would still say that this is a productive week. Because even if I did not meet any of those goals, I got to implement particles to give the user more feedback. I got to expand on the evaluation system as much as I did, and ran into some crashing errors and was able to actually fix it. Randomized words are in. Different decks to be chosen from and within a list on a single page are in. New current info to actually sort of like clear up some misinformation. Not entirely misinformation, ambiguity. It's still ambiguous, but at least it's not 0100. So yeah, new current info there. Giving players feedback on how a post did after they post it, instead of again immediately going to the next screen. Adding that score in this way and then immediately showing it there, fun. The ECS update, which saves a lot of time and allows components to easily edit other components or entities. Conjunction bug was fixed. Being able to scroll down and see new posts, or to see old posts, and then to reload to see new posts. Great. And again, the random username to, again, give people the idea that they're like different people rather than just, oh, everyone is the fast dog. So yeah. So at the end of the day, this week, did I complete my goals? No. But was this a successful week for Wumble? Absolutely, because I've done a fair amount of work to get this project nice and up and running, and I'm looking forward to having you guys try this out when it's in a more polished state, when there's more in, and I will say, maybe even next week. If you've gotten this far into the video, thank you. Please feel free to leave a comment. And when I go out for holiday real quick next week, I will make sure to reply to you and just be like, hey, I'm going to be gone for a few days. I will have a itch sort of website up where people can play the project and it can work on any device. All you need is a device that can use Chrome and I think other web browsers, but you should be fine because the way the game works is that it natively runs on the web within itch, and it works again on the computer. It works on your phone. So if you are interested in trying that game out, please let me know, and I will reply to you before I leave. That way I can sort of get more playtesting in, and you can sort of try a bit of the product that I'm working on, because I'm really looking forward to having you guys try this out. Not just in its sort of like heavy beta release, but when the demo comes around on August 21st, I believe, which is when Play NYC is. So with that being said, this is a shorter Wumble Wednesday. Definitely not short, because I'm already looking at the footage and we're at 13 minutes already. But again, thank you for listening and looking forward to showing you more of this project. Ciao!